twin western about the old gunfighter who couldn't draw against all the young guys that were after him again. And instead of that movie, we all sat down with our hot buttered organic popcorn before anybody knew the word organic, and our Chico's bonbons that I could throw at this girl right here and hit her on the back of the neck. And we sat down ready to terrorize the 11-year-old girls, and the movie was The Bad Seed. And at the opening of the movie, a blonde 11-year-old girl with pigtails takes off her tap shoes with a half-moon tap and beats the end of the pier in summer camp at the end of the season during the awards ceremony because she lost the penmanship award. And Claudie Daigle, the little boy who won the penmanship award, his hands fall off the pier and he drowns in a circle of bubbles beneath the surface as Rhoda Pennington, the pigtailed girl, watches him die. And me and my 9-year-old friend sat there with our hot buttered popcorn like this. Freaked me out. You know, every time I saw a girl with pigtails, hey, what's the Swedish, help me. The Swedish. What? No, the Swedish. Pippi, goddamn Longstocking. Every time I saw those girls, and there were lots of them, in their mini skirts and their Pendleton shirts, freaked this cowboy out. Okay, so that stuff scared me. Now we can go into other stuff. I mean, you know, what's the wonderful sci-fi movie? Oh my God, come on, help me out now. No, kids, I'm old. Children,
2001.
I'm an old man here. No, Robbie the Robot.
Forbidden Planet.
The Monster from the Id. Now, we had no pause button. We had no replay. We would have to go out at night and camp in the backyard with a transistor radio, listening to 50s and early 60s rock and roll, and ask each other, what was the monster from the Id? One of the first early exercises in animated CGI, post-production, and of course it was a saber-toothed tiger. But it took us 10 viewings at the Saturday matinee to figure that out. Like standing in line behind everybody and you had to measure off with your lunch pail, you know, with like Lee Majors on it, and you had to like measure off, and you go, did you see Twilight Zone last night? How to serve man. It was a menu. How to serve man. Get it? And this was this whole thing we had back in those days. And so those were the early elemental scares of yours truly.
Behind you here, so I can barely see you, so really wave your arms. I can see you.
Of all the times you played Freddy, which of those movies do you think is the best, and which one did you have the most fun making?
I think it's the same now, and I think this, you know, memory, and you guys are all kids, but memory plays tricks on you as you get older, and nostalgia enters the equation. And I think for me, it's actually Wes Craven's New Nightmare. Now I know the scariest film is part one, and I know that the audiences universally love the one you guys saw tonight. But the one you saw tonight on a double bill with cold pizza and beer with Nightmare 4 is a great goddamn double bill. But I love part 7 because Wes Craven, pre-Scream and post-Sam Raimi, really deconstructed horror. Made fun of me, made fun of himself, made fun of Bob Shea, the head of New Line Cinema, made fun of Heather, teased us all, and he was saying to everybody sitting here today, before you guys had the power from Expo, and before you guys had the power of Comic-Con, before you guys had the power of 20 years of successful graphic comic books, novels, and other horror films, both cult, both low budget and big budget, and A-team. Before that, Wes Craven was saying to you, I acknowledge you guys, I love you guys, I know you're smart. I know you're onto my tricks. I know you know that we know that you know that we know, but I'm still going to pull the goddamn rug out from under you. I'm still going to scare you, and I'm still going to please you. And that's why I love Nightmare 7 the best. And it holds up, by the way, it holds up.
What's some of the weirdest Freddy merch that you've seen?
Well, the single weirdest is in my book, Hollywood Monster. The single weirdest thing I ever saw is Nancy and I, my wife, who's somewhere out there. And I know it's psycho and Freudian, but and she and Heather could be sisters. It's really sick. I'm sorry. I apologize now. But Nancy and I are in Russia. And this is just before Glasnost and all of this. And we get a private VIP tour of Catherine the Great's Summer Palace. And it's like every art test you've ever had to take, every art appreciation class you've ever had to take, every painting you've ever seen in a goddamn book is in this museum. And it's an old Russian woman, right, with 3 tiers of fat and a cigarette burning down to her knuckles, leaning back in a chair, and the smoke is discoloring a Chagall or a Picasso. And we have the whole place to ourselves. And Nancy and I can't believe it. It's phenomenal. And we walk out, and then we see where Catherine the Great had her Sweet 16 party. And it's a Chinese pagoda on a canal built when the Russians were into the discovery of China. Marco Polo, the discovery of China. And this was trendy. Anything Chinese, chinois, was trendy. And so on the way back from that, there's a kiosk, a little kiosk for the tourists. There's no tourists there but my wife and I. And we see in the window, through the dirt on the window, because it's closed down, we see hanging these tourist kids. And they're pill containers, because the Russians, at this moment of time, are just ready to break free from all the crap in Russia. And they're very fond of Valium. Because it's relaxing. And Russia's a little tight, you know what I mean? This is your butt. You know what I'm saying? And on the pill container is my image. And it says, take one and I'll come for you. In Cyrillic. That's the weirdest version.
Well, I have to go with this gloved hand there.
Hey, Mr. Englund, how you doing? Pretty good. Excellent. You were the your character. You were the epitome of fear when I was young. And I have here a 1984 glove that my brothers used to scare me with. And
You're damaged then. And I'm looking at your sweater too, dude.
Yeah. So it wasn't until I got older that a character, someone like you could scare me that much, that how badass that was. So I was wondering if you wouldn't mind donning the glove and signing my copy of
Oh, am I getting...
That's a real question.
In the lobby. And you gotta buy me a really good white wine. I'd be happy to. Next!
Me? Yeah, you. What was your first reaction when you found out you're going to be squaring off against Jason Voorhees?
Here's the thing, you guys, and listen to me. We can bust Hollywood up and down and left and right, and east and west and north and south. But let me tell you guys something. In the 30s, in the Depression, in America, in North America, up here too, kids sat around with their kind of Johnny Depp haircuts, you know, because they couldn't afford to get a cut a lot. And they said, you did. So like if like the Wolfman, you know, ran into Frankenstein in an alley. Like, who would win? And then they, goddamn Frankenstein versus the Wolfman. Excuse me, Frankenstein meets the Wolfman. Right? Politically correct. This has been around forever, you guys. In 1984, I got invited to do the Thanksgiving parade in Sacramento, the sort of bogus capital of California. Think Arnold Schwarzenegger. Anyway, I'm up there for the NBC. You guys have NBC up here. Yeah. You guys watch Leno and Dave Letterman. NBC is Leno. So I'm at the NBC goddamn parade, and I'm on the float because I'm Willie, right? I'm Willie from V. Okay, thank you, you sci-fi. Anyway, so I'm up there, and a guy comes up to me after the ceremony and after the Thanksgiving parade, our Thanksgiving holiday, and he asks me and he pulls his shirt off, and he has a full Japanese mafia, yakuza, knee to elbow, torso, Japanese tattoo, full ink of Freddy grappling with Jason. So like, dude, so like if Jason got asleep, like who would win, man? This is not something that we thought of. You thought of it. We heard it a lot in the fan mail and we made the movie. And so it was a long time coming, and it took a Hong Kong director like Ronnie Yu to really make it crazy comic book fun. Okay, that's it. That's the whole end of the story.
Is it as good? That movie? I had a blast in theaters watching it. It was fun. It's goofy, but it's good.
I didn't pray. I didn't prepare. I just got on board. I got on board the challenge of the makeup, my trust in Wes Craven, a genius, and at some point, you guys got to understand how David Miller had just done Thriller. Right? Pretty good stuff. I go out to David's San Fernando Valley house, and I'm sitting in a retro antique barber's chair, and I'm doing the makeup tests for Freddy, and I'm looking at these like burn photos, you know, from the Veterans Administration, guys like in Vietnam that were torched, right? So I'm looking at this shit, and it's like I'm vomiting practically in the bathroom. And we're creating the makeup, and I'm watching it develop in the latex tests, and finally we get it kind of resolved, and we're putting it on. And there was a little more drippy flanges at that time because they wanted to backlight drips off my ear and stuff, as opposed to the chewed ear, which I like as a metaphor, kind of like the dogs of hell, you know, kind of nipped at Freddy, you know, on his way to hell. He didn't quite get there. He wound up in purgatory, messing around with all the kids for the next 6 sequels. But anyway, and I'm looking in the mirror, and my prep happened then. After 4 hours of makeup and tests and itching, and colostomy bag, Frank Sinatra glue all over me. Oh, it's Mia Farrow, I'm booking. Anyway, so I'm doing this, and thank you. I love the adult laughs here. Anyway, and so I'm like working, and I'm looking in the mirror, and that's when it starts to happen. I'm looking at the creation and the colors and the blends that David Miller's doing, and eventually the genius Kevin Yeager as well. And then I'm looking in the mirror, and I have all that time. And I have like Good Morning America or AM Saskatchewan, you guys choose one. And even it's early in the morning, you know, and people are gonna come look at it. And that's when I kind of found Freddy. And a part was just the discomfort. I used the discomfort. And then later on, about 2 or 3 weeks into the shoot, I'm sitting in the Desilu Studios in Hollywood, and I'm next to the 2 most beautiful people in America. Johnny Depp, who's like a cherub Elvis, and Heather Langenkamp, who is a bite-sized Brooke Shields. Brooke's, you know, model size, and Heather, boys, we can flip her. She's a spinner. And they're on either side of me. But here's the thing, 32-year-old actor, and they're basting me with KY Jelly, and I'm real itchy. Johnny Depp, who's never needed makeup in his life, and Heather Langenkamp, who's more beautiful than Brooke Shields. They have fans, personal fan assistants, with like those little tiny fans. You guys know it. Those little pussy fans, you know. Like they need makeup, and I went, yeah, God damn it, my career's over. My career's over. And I envied them, and I was mad at them, and I envied them. I envied their beauty, and I envied their youth, and I envied their gifts, because I saw, not only did I see it, but my ex-girlfriend said he's going to be a star, about Johnny Depp. And Heather, exquisite, and I envied it. And I said, oh, hey, I can use this. As an actor, Freddie hates beauty. Freddie hates youth. Freddie never had that. Freddie wants to punish Johnny Depp. And that's where I found how to play it. That's the psychological jump. Because I'm not a method actor, but that's the little leap I made.
How do you feel about the pop culture icon of Freddy, this killer who kills children, and the life that you've marketed really popular with children?
Guys, first you gotta understand something. New Line made a mistake. They're not bad people. They're not bad. They weren't bad Hollywood. They never had a hit. They never had a hit. They were doing old Liv Ullmann movies. Do you want to have an abortion? I don't know. I'm too old. I'm Swedish. I don't. So they didn't know. They had no idea. They marketed it wrong. They went too young with the marketing. They weren't bad people. They made a mistake. Merchandising in those days was for kids. You know, crappy early Transformer shit. You know, come on. So, guys, it wasn't like it was an intentional thing. So I don't offer any apologies to that. It was a mistake. That's, you know, it was a mistake.
Well, I think it's great. Let's go with this side. You. Yeah.
Okay, I have to ask you about some of the questionable sub-themes in part 2.
Yeah.
Well, no, part 2. What's your name? Andreas. Listen to me. Part 2, we were ahead of the curve. We all knew what we were doing. Guys, listen to me. I had phenomenal gay roommates in the 70s with my girlfriend. My girlfriend wrote Lost Boys, and she recently passed away. Back then, you know, this is a long, long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. And one of my roommates was the director of the fabulous Claire Danes show, My So-Called Life. And these were great people. And every night we would go out and see old movies from the 30s and the 40s and the 50s. We would go out and see Hammer films. And we would go out and see, oh, you know what we loved? I mean, I hate to admit this, Stoned. Dr. Vibes, Vincent Price. Huh? Okay. So that's who we were then. But we knew, all of us working on Nightmare 2, that it had this Jungian, Freudian subtext of the lead boy, Mark Patton, was bi. Now, yeah, guys, now we look back on that and we handle it very subtly. And you guys, this movie went off the goddamn charts in Europe because they were ready to accept it as, yeah, those are our friends. Those can be our roommates in a dorm. It could be my brother or my sister. They're part of the thing, and whoa, guess who wants to get in there and mess with it? Freddy! Whoa, yeah! I'll mess with it. And so I'm really proud that now the intellectual critics, you know, called Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2 the first gay horror film. And there was that wonderful film with Susan Sarandon and Catherine Love, right? But, and come on, we all like that. Ooh. Come on, guys. How many people want to see young Susan Sarandon kiss Catherine Love? Raise your hand! Okay. All right, okay. Let's not be hypocritical here. But the thing is, that movie is a first, and it's a healthy first, and it's a righteous first. And Europe picked up on it. Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2 made so much money in Europe that this cowboy got to do 2 or 3 movies over there the next year because of that film. And Mark Patton, for those, you know, who played the lead in that movie, did a great performance in a classic diva bitch film by Robert Englund, Come Back to the Five and Dime, Jimmy Dean, with Cher and Sandy Dennis, who worked for me in 976 Evil, and lots of other wonderful people. And if you ever want to get that on Netflix, kids, it's a hoot. All right.
You there, that are, you the edge.
Yeah, you, in the hat.
All right.
In the hat? There's only 1,000 hats here.
A couple of weeks ago, I watched Big Wednesday.
Oh,
Yeah, which I'd never seen before. I was trying to see it. I was wondering what your personal favorite film that's not where you didn't play Freddy is.
guys, I've been in, I've been hanging out with Lance Hendrickson. Lance is my god. And Lance has done like 150 movies. And I'm just approaching 80. And I'm gonna tell you something. And I've done a lot of horror movies, but I've done a lot of other movies. And you guys are all kids here, and I worked with Jeff Bridges and Sally Field and Henry Fonda and Susan Sarandon and Joanna Cassidy from Blade Runner and Ed Begley Jr. and Peter Strauss and Martin Sheen and all these people in the 70s. Before I was ever in horror, I'm fine with the horror thing. And I'll tell you why. Because I found you guys. I found a younger generation. And not only you here, but Europe. It opened this door for me because horror, like action movies and science fiction, speaks the universal language of film. You guys, right now, I could take, I don't know how many people, I'm going to say there's 400 people here, 500 people here. I could take 300 of you right now and drop you in Paris, and you would see people just like you.
Yes,
Or in London. No, let me tell you, you guys, you've got to trust me here. It's that universal language of film. There's this universal thing. Not everybody knows who Jay Leno is or Jennifer Aniston, but they love horror. They all know Rutger Hauer. They all know Blade Runner. They all know Freddy Krueger. They all know The Exorcist. They all know Interview with a Vampire. They all know Twilight. They all know... No, wait, you guys, they all know action. They all know... Look, whether you like Jean-Claude Van Damme or Jason Statham or Bourne Identity. They love Matt. And you guys, it's this universal language. We're all the same on this level. This sort of action, horror, fantasy, sci-fi level. We're all in bed together. This is the big link. Not bicycles. Guy, I wish it was. I mean, bicycles are great, but not everywhere is flat. Bicycles are great. But this is the big link, guys. This is a link, and translated literature, Stephen King, whatever, it's all this stuff is good. And so that's that common denominator we got to observe.
All right, let's go with... You're waving your hand.
No, guys, here's what you got to understand. And listen, no, you guys got to hear me now. And you got to understand the truth. This is the truth. I'm a Hollywood boy. I'm a Hollywood boy. Born in the hills of Hollywood. I understand there's only so many stories to be told around the campfire. You guys, we hear the old joke, boy meets girl, boy loses girl, boy meets boy, whatever. Girl meets girl, Kathleen Neville, Susan Sarandon, no. You guys know what I'm saying. There's only so many goddamn stories. Boy kills mother, Anthony Perkins, come on down. Anyway, the guys, there's just certain, the Greeks knew this. The Greeks knew this. So, Hollywood has always remade their movies. Before anybody in this theater was born, Hollywood had made everything they'd ever made before. From the teens and the 20s and the 30s. And we will always do this. And I'm not going to bust you, and I'm not going to complain about you, But there's people that you all know that won't watch a black and white movie. And there's people that you know that watch Avatar on a phone. And they should go to fucking hell. Because there are some really great movies made before you were born. You know what I hate now? Here's the big line in America. Oh, I don't care. It was before I was born. No. I'm not that old. I'm old, but guys, in the late 70s, we all had a revival theater. Pushpinned by the phone. Oh, remember telephones? But highlighted. Remember highlighting? Guys, but we would know that on any given weekend, we could see a double bill of Assault on Precinct 13. Right? And The Thing. And then the original Thing. And we did it. And then we did it even further back. We watched stuff from the 30s and 40s. Guys, there's great stuff from the 50s, 60s, and 70s. Quentin Tarantino is mining this stuff. Great, crazy stuff that's like trickling into our back of our brains that you need to see. It's like, and you know what? It's an hour out of your life. It's 90 minutes out of your life. Netflix it. Go to a Revival Theater in downtown Toronto. You see it, and it's like reading a book. It's reading a book. You know why? Because we're post-millennial now, but movies were the literature of the 20th century. So instead of having to read Alexandre Dumas' Three Musketeers, you guys can now watch a half a dozen movies and catch up. Catch up. If you haven't seen Straw Dogs, you're fucked. On the aisle.
I was going to ask you, you've worked with a lot of great independent filmmakers. We had here in Toronto Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon. And also, you worked with some other Canadians, Jack Brooks' Monster Slayer, another great film.
By the way, can I do a parenthetical? Don't sit down yet, but Trevor Matthews has moved his production company to LA, and he's optioned one of the most extraordinary stories, Street Soldier. How many people here have seen The Departed? Jack Nicholson character hires assassins, and Trevor Matthews, Ottawa, producer, Steve McQueen, Canadian, Welsh heritage, has the script. He does, and it's unbelievable, you guys. Brook Street Films. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, can you tell us about your relationship with independent filmmakers? Because I think it's terrific that you work with them.
Here's what happened to me. And guys, I'm not altruistic. I'm not a saint. I did a reality show, an early reality show that I believed in 2004 called Real, R-E-E-L. Ooh, get it? Nightmares. And what we did was we took all these nightmares from people all over North America, and the ones that were really sick, we went and explored. So imagine me now in Toronto. And we've found somebody that has a really bad dream, okay, and they told us about it, all right, and so now I'm walking down Bloor Street, and I turn off into an alley, and I walk down an alley, and I'm beautifully lit from behind, looks like I have more hair than I do. And I'm walking down the alley in a really cool black suit with tight black jeans, and I hop over the back fence, and I walk into your yard, and I knock on your door. You open the door and I say, hello, my name is Robert Englund. I understand that there's a nightmare on your street. Then I went inside and they told me their nightmare. Now wait. And I was sort of like faux shrink, right? Very nice, very attentive. Hopefully my bald spot's covered up. Now we love these people. We flew them back to LA and we dropped them in the middle of their nightmare. We spent $1 million recreating it. Produced by the guy that produces Penn and Teller's bullshit. Phenomenal. You know why you never saw it? Because we couldn't get the legal clearance on these people. Because halfway through the scene, where the kid is walking in knee-deep brown water in an underground canal with lots of sexual tubes and pipes above him, and there's a man following that grabs him from behind, we realize, oops, it's his stepfather. We can't get clearance. So we never showed him right here. I spent a year of my life doing this movie. Let me tell you guys, the girl from Alabama who had a clown fantasy, we put her in a 1910 mansion in downtown ghetto LA. Right? She knew what she was getting into. We hired the Jim Rose Circus. And psycho clowns. That was her fear. She went into the bathroom to pee and get ready for work. And in the bathtub, under 6 or 7 inches of, what's the Swedish vampire movie?
Let the right one in. Let the right one in.
Let the right one in, vampire plasma. Sits up a Captain Howdy clown. She opens the medicine cabinet. A Jim Rose Circus psycho. Heath Ledger clown. And this girl looked like Shelley Duvall. It's everything you want in a reality show. But we couldn't get the legal clearance. I spent a year of my life on this show. This was what I thought reality television should be. Oh, call me stupid.